This is J-Wro with the Low blog, talking about things that make you tootin'. I be talking about gluten. For years, I was just eating like a ton of wheat products, right? Cookies and wheat meat, sandwiches, bundt cakes, scones, and like wheat. I wasn't eating meat, I had to eat wheat. Little did I know that one of the primary causes of my let's say nuclear abdominal disturbances was that I had a gluten sensitivity and didn't even know it. What is the deal with this gluten-free diet? This was like maybe about 7 years ago, and I'm thinking like, this is interesting. There's not a whole lot of gluten-free products out there. But the more I got into it, the more interesting things I found out about my body and also what's going on with the wheat in the world. So gluten is a protein compound that can, for some people, aggravate their digestive systems and even cause something like celiac disease, depending on the severity of it. So these proteins are very interesting because if you look at the way wheat is grown, primarily in this country, in the US, it's very different than the wheat that's grown over in Europe. So dig this, there's been a lot of stuff that I found out as far as the genetics of how they've bred wheat in America and also how it's stored. Now there's a lot of theories on like, okay, what actually causes gluten sensitivities, but two very interesting things that I found that I want to share with you guys. Number one, on a genetic level, the wheat here in America is on a genetic level different than the wheat that they grow in Europe. It's actually been crossbred so much that it's a totally different strain than the European wheat. Secondly, the way a lot of the wheat is stored here is in these big giant warehouses where there's actually a high level of fungus or mold or pathogenic bacteria that can grow on the wheat, which can cause all of those gastroenterological disturbances that go on in your gut when you eat wheat products. So I did an experiment, right? After like years of eating gluten-free, I was like, okay, wonder what would happen if I actually ate a wheat product, but it was a European wheat product. So I'm at home and my girlfriend's like, let's make pasta, because she's part Italian, she makes the best pasta sauce. And I'm like, are we actually gonna eat wheat pasta? Am I gonna eat wheat pasta? Is this actually happening? Oh yeah, it was happening. So we make the Italian grown pasta. It's boiling, I'm watching it boil. I'm like, oh my God, I can feel the fart coming on. I can feel it, I can feel the fart bubbles brewing, right? So sit down, ladle that super amazing marinara sauce, and it was like the moment of truth. So I stick the fork into those tender noodles and I eat it and I wait and nothing happens. And lo and behold, I'm down to the bottom of the bowl of this divine pasta made by an Italian woman, and my gut is totally fine. And I'm like, huh, I'm totally great on the European wheat. This is amazing. So again, going back to just the research of what was going on with my gut, I'm finding that my body reacts totally different when I have the different strain of European wheat versus the American grown and American stored wheat products. So this got me thinking like, what other crops are totally different and are on a genetic level different here in America than overseas? Think about like monocropping and how, again, like my last blog that I did a while ago was about genetically modified food. So crossbreeding and crossing the genetic strains of food actually changes the food and therefore changes how your body is gonna react to that food. So I'm big into heirloom foods, really, you guys. If you can find heirloom foods that are original seed, that haven't been crossbred with any other foods, I find for my body that they're actually much more benign and much easier to digest too. So I'm not exactly giving you guys like carte blanche if you're like celiac or gluten sensitive to run out and try this European wheat, but for this dude who was gluten sensitive for years, my body did totally fine on the European grown wheat, so you might want to experiment with it. But the last part I want to talk about in gluten-free foods, you guys, is 2012. There's so many amazing gluten-free products out there. As you can see, I've been using a gluten-free all-purpose baking mix. So if you are gluten sensitive, there's a lot of options for you guys out there. There's tons of products available, so educate yourself. And again, try out the European grown wheat. It might react in your body totally differently like it did mine. So with that, family, I just wanted to give you guys a few tips on gluten-free foods and why to choose gluten-free, easier to digest, tons of nutrients now. They mimic the same taste, texture, and mouthfeel that regular ooey gooey wheat-laden products do. And remember, trust your gut, trust your body, and if it means you can't eat wheat for the rest of your life, guess what? We're all taken care of. There's a ton of great products out there. So with that, that's J-Wro with the low. There's one lone pan crepe, and it's getting really lonely on this plate. I think you know what's gonna happen, right? I think it's gonna go down the hatch. Maybe not my hatch, because I've had like 2 so far. Who wants a pan crepe? Somebody in this audience wants a frickin' pan crepe. Raise your hands. Anyway, kids, I'm out of here. Big fat peaches to you, and I'll see you on the flip side.